guys, we're gonna tell you why this has been the greatest investment we've ever made in the cold game, but it's not one of those boring tech reviews like you probably already watched if you're on YouTube right now. We want to tell you why this is better than the lay down plunges and any other plunge in the market. We have tried all of the plunges. So I work in wellness marketing. We actually own a marketing company in Florida. We work with many businesses that buy different cold plunges to serve the community. We just recently got this Ice Barrel 500 and the Ice Barrel Chiller, and it is amazing in so many ways. First, let's talk about the look. We love things all black. We love the look. We have our sweat tent sauna here. We've got our grills. Our vehicles are even wrapped in satin black. Everything we have is black. So we love this all black, sleek look.
Really keeps it on brand.
Yeah, we like the branding of that. Second of all, this company comes down to position and it comes down to the chiller. First, let's just kind of walk you through what we had before. Things that we hated about the plunge were, one, laying back in an ice bath is very uncomfortable and counterintuitive. Your nervous system's already gonna be stressed. So the last thing you wanna do is also lay back in this tub and pretend like you're all zenned out. You've probably seen the commercials of plunge and they're like, oh, I'm zenned out. You're not zen, you're freezing cold. So laying back just doesn't feel great.
It's not really like as much of a meditation process as they try to make it out to be. Of course, once you get there, you can lock in. But for the first like 30 seconds, I'm literally just arguing with myself in my head, like, you should get out. No, you shouldn't.
Also, for her being smaller, she had a lot of trouble just floating in the plunge.
Yeah, constantly just like my feet would go up over my head. I couldn't really sit still, so there was never a time that I could ever really position myself.
Wait, your feet went up over your head?
Yeah.
You rolled backwards like a pretzel?
Yeah. Like, you know how your butt slides and your feet go whoop?
Yeah, your feet would rise above the level of your head. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but you just didn't feel comfortable there.
No, it was just constantly like, I felt like I always had to hold myself up on the rails.
Yeah. For me, I like to be able to go fully under. This thing makes it so much easier, which we're gonna show you right now what that looks like going fully under. All I have to do is dip my head down or turn and drop my butt in, and I can go fully under while staying upright. I don't have to plug my nose. I don't have to exhale to my nose. In the plunge, to go fully under, you have to plug your nose, scoot back, and go fully underneath with your nose plugged, which is also very counterintuitive. Let's walk you through the specs of this thing and talk about it. So before we go any further, guys, if you are considering buying a Ice Barrel 500, 400, or 300 and the Ice Barrel Chiller, there's a link in the description where you can use code Salazar. It's going to save you 20% more than any store-wide sale, and that will help support this channel and help me keep reviewing these products. When you look at the unit, you have built-in steps, huge perk for me. Brands like the Cold Life come with these sets of steps. They're very flimsy. You have to walk up on the steps, try to put yourself inside. These steps are amazing. They're very, very durable, part of the unit. When I walk up, I'm obviously high enough to step right in the plunge. Very insulated, so when I pull this off, this is, you know, mediumly heavy, not heavy where a girl couldn't pick it up, but it's not light and flimsy because it is insulated. It's freezing cold inside from the ice splashing up on it, the water. So places over here. So let's kind of show you what we got going on inside, then we'll talk about the chiller in a bit. Your steps are in. Water is obviously crystal clear because it's a great filtration system. Comes with a nice thermometer as well as the chiller has one as well. Another great spec about this unit is it takes less water to fill this up than it took for my plunge. So when I fill it up for my hose, this thing fills up very quickly, but it still can completely submerge me and submerge me more in water. When I was inside my plunge, it would be very challenging for me to lay underneath my plunge where the water was up to my neck, arms and shoulders fully underneath, and I had to kind of hover my body in this position. Where in this unit, that just happens no matter what I do. I'm fully submerged, and I can also just ice my legs after a run or a long bike ride, which is amazing because the depth of it, I can stand in here and last much longer icing my legs. I can do 20 minutes of just that where I'm not freezing my ass off of my torso, getting the shivers. So that's a huge perk. The design is also perfect. You know, Wyatt at Plunge put a lot of effort into how they designed this stuff, and they really left nothing unthought of. So the filtration works like this. There is a pre-filter, and the intake is out of the very bottom. The water goes through the chiller, gets filtered and cooled, and comes out this hose. These are also quick connect hoses, which is amazing how nice the quick connect works. So nice little flow. Obviously, when you get in, the water submerges over that level and you're not going to hear that little waterfall sound, but it's coming in with good pressure, very cold. The depth is perfect. So when you're ready to step out, you have a step that you're sitting in. So there is a seat inside of this unit. You're not just sitting in a big trough. You're seated where your butt is elevated above your feet. You can step right off of that and climb out. We're gonna show you that right now, what that looks like, and it's very comfortable. So overall position is 10 out of 10. You only want to get a vertical plunge. Do not get a plunge that you lay back in. I can tell you for someone that's tried all of them for the better of 8+ years. Let's talk build quality. When this thing was delivered, obviously nice, beautiful packaging, but it's mobile. I carried this back into my backyard by myself. I don't know the weight exactly, but I would say it weighs no more than 80 pounds when it's empty. I actually just climbed myself inside of it and kind of put it up over my back and walked into my backyard. So you can easily move it with by one person. If you're a lifter, like I hope a lot of you guys are, and if you're a husband and wife duo or a female, you might need a friend to help you carry back. But once you empty the water, it is very mobile, easy to move. It'll be easy to tip over or move around. It is super insulated, again, like a Yeti cooler. So we are here in Tampa, Florida. It is brutally hot. Feels like temperatures around 104 degrees on days like today. So it is gonna get baked in the Florida heat. It can be hot on the outside, hot to the touch. Inside is still perfectly cold. So it's been really impressive how it holds temperature. My plunge would not hold temperature. No matter what happened, I would have that plunge set to 45 degrees, and the best they could keep up with is it would keep the water about 53 to 56 degrees. Not ideal for us. We had to sit longer. This thing can chill at 37 degrees and have no issue with that, which blew my mind. So overall, this unit's amazing. Now, if you live in a place that does not get super hot, you may be able to run it without needing the chiller. The insulation is great. You can fill this with water and ice. Colorado, north, I think it's not hot enough where you would need that. But in places like Florida, Texas, the southern states, you're gonna want that. Or if you have many bodies getting in, like we do, and we have friends on the weekends that's on a cold plunge, you will want to have a chiller for filtration and for cooling. And now let's get into the chiller. The chiller is the whole thing with Ice Barrel. This is what makes it so amazing. They have the best chiller in the market. This is a 1/2 horsepower chiller. So people go, oh man, I want a full horsepower chiller. But there's a caveat to that. They use a different type of refrigerant that is different than plunge and desert plunge and some of the other ones used, and it makes the water colder. I was astonished at how fast it took Florida groundwater at 93 degrees and brought it to 45 degrees in about 6 hours. That blew my mind when I saw that, and it's freezing cold. Even 45 degrees in this unit felt colder than 45 degrees in anything else I've ever felt. So this thing has no shortage of cooling power, and as you guys know, chillers do cost a little bit of money. So when it comes to price of a unit like this, I would say it's a very fair price. Of course, the company has to make money, but this is not some Chinese knockoff brand. This is American made, manufactured and designed product. And it was the only product on the market that was designed just for ice baths. So it has really good app functionality, amazing interface. Let's talk about the build a bit. So we'll kind of get down here. One, heavy duty. This thing is about 100 pounds. Very, very durable. When you unbox it, it feels like it's like an Apple product. Like it's super nice. On the side here, you have the air filter. So you pull this off, you can replace your air filter. Yes, you have an air filter to replace. There's also an ambient thermometer there, which knows how hot it is outside. So it's in sleep mode now because the screen's off. When I touch this knob, it's gonna power right on for me. My current temperature is at 48, and then we just dropped it to 45, so it's telling me cooling to 45. You can obviously turn it very easy. It's a nice, just tactile, clickable, functional feel on this knob. It just feels really nice to turn this. I can't explain it, but it's heavy duty. You press the button to assess it. When you hold and press, it gives you other monitors. The settings here are really for your first time setup. Anything else in this product, you're gonna control during your app. But you can decide if it's on cooling or smart cinch. It'll tell you your temperature. You can set your schedule, see your settings. Really, this is just during the setup process. When you first turn this on, it's gonna walk you through a setup process like an iPhone or like a Traeger grill. It's super nice. Make sure all your fittings are connected and it's ready to rock. It's super sleek and black, so we just love the minimalistic design of this thing. The screen is very bright. You can see it from far away. We also mounted a small timer in front of the plunge, so we'll use this timer as well. It works nice for us. But if you want to look and see what your plunge was, you can easily see that. This thing gets soaking wet, and it can also stay outside in the elements. So that's a huge plus for us because we do keep it outside in Florida without a cover or any kind of patio. So this thing just gets baked in the sun all day, and it has been holding strong and doing amazing. Also, I might add, incredibly quiet. This thing is, it's on now. You probably can't even hear it. I mean, it's the fans coming out. It's just silent. I was shocked to hear that. Super smooth. And again, it's all one enclosed unit, whereas the plunge or others, they have all the pumps, all the filtration on one side, and then the chiller is another unit. This is all you have. You have this barrel, you have two hoses, and you have this. Inside of this is where the water is filtrated. This is where the water is cooled. This is where everything's treated, and it comes right back out. So it is one easy to go unit. Moving these things a breeze. I'm very, very impressed with this. Now, setup was absolutely so simple. When the chiller arrived, It's about as easy as it can be. You literally have quick connects. So I'm not gonna pull it off now because I am running water. All I would have to do is turn my valve off here, open this up, and I can disconnect this hose from the chiller and from the unit quick connect. Hoses are just super heavy duty and durable too. These are not gonna de-damage at all, but they're nice and long. You can put this thing flat against the wall with the elbow joints they give you, or we have it here, we have some space because we don't need to have it right up on the wall. All right, now we're gonna talk about the good stuff, why this is the best plunge for a couple that lives together. So a lot of you guys might know, men and women have a few differences, like almost everything besides our biology, hormones, musculature, testosterone level, etc. So women, of course, you know, need a little bit longer sleep. Men can survive on less sleep. This is the same when it comes to cold water exposure. So an ideal temperature for women when it comes to cold plunging is gonna be in the range of 50s, 54, 55, 56. They can sit longer, it stresses them less, triggers cortisol less. But for men, and for me specifically, when I come off a long bike ride or run or jiu-jitsu training session, I want penetrating cold. I want it to be stinging my body because that ices my joints the fastest. It removes the pain and inflammation the fastest. So what do? Well, Icebarrel thought of that too. So they have now app scheduling with smart sense technology. It's an incredible feature. We're gonna walk through how that works. First of all, within your app, you can schedule your plunges. This is gonna be great because it'll keep you plunging with consistency. That's people's biggest problems that order this, because that's people's biggest problem that want to get in the plunging game is they can't stay consistent. They've thought of this. They make it where you can schedule your plunges. Hey, I'm gonna plunge every morning at 8 a.m. and you schedule it. Smart Sense will automatically cool the water temperature for the exact temperature you set during that time. Let's just give an example. If I want to plunge at 8 in the morning and Malaina wants to plunge at noon, it will automatically calibrate. So at 8 in the morning, it'll be ready at 42 degrees, and at noon, it can be ready at 54 degrees for her, and then cooling itself again the next morning for 42 degrees. You can also set this multiple times a day if you have different people in your house using it. This also works very well because think how a computer goes to sleep and when your screen turns off, that's also what Smart Sense does. I was talking to the company's software designers about this. It's amazing. So to not let the motors overuse themselves and burn themselves out and consume too much of your energy, in times of not being used, the plunge is gonna shut itself off with Smart Sense and it's gonna start to rise up, but it will never rise up further than 1 hour of cooling to your ideal temperature. So again, it is outside in the Florida heat, always getting baked on by the rays of the sun. So it is just constantly fighting the battle of cooling it off. As you guys know, ACs always suffer in the summertime too. So if it's like, hey, they're not using the plunge during this time, no one's using it, it will allow it to rise up. But if I say I'm gonna plunge soon, it will say less than 1 hour to cool you back off. This is great because it's gonna make the durability and the maintenance of this thing last a lot longer, but you can also control it and change it as you want. So the app interface is really what makes this special. Within the app, you can set your schedule, so you can do breathwork coaching, meditations. You can also look at the community of ice barrels so you can see who else has an ice barrel, what temperature they have it, and how many sessions they've logged, which is cool because I love my Whoop, I love Strava. I'm very competitive with apps like that. So if I see some of these dudes, I'm like, yo, I'm about to lower my temperature a little bit and see if I can make mine colder.
Friendly competition.
So who is this plunge for? Let's talk about the product market fit and if this is the right one for you. If you are a family and you're both into wellness, I would absolutely say this is for you. If you are an athlete, a serious jiu-jitsu athlete, cyclist, crossfitter, lifter, you actually beating your body up a lot, you're gonna want something more heavy duty. You don't want those inflatable units. You don't want those tiny chillers that are actually made for aquariums. You want a unit that you're gonna be able to buy and it's gonna last you, always be cold, and at least be comfortable enough where you can make it a consistent habit. Again, with the positioning and the seat, you are as comfortable as you can be in cold water in this unit compared to others out there, and it does make a slight difference in edge. Who is this plunge not for? It's not for your first time plungers. If you guys have never plunged and you don't even know if you're gonna like it, I wouldn't go drop the investment to buy something like this. I would probably start with the Icebarrel 300 or maybe the Icebarrel 400 before you buy chiller. Add some bags of ice, some bags of water, and then decide if you want to upgrade to the chiller later. That's one of the best parts about it is you can buy a unit without buying the chiller. You can use bags of ice and you can use water, build the habit, build the consistency, and then later you can add the chiller and it connects in about 10 minutes to the unit. So when it comes to positioning, this thing just can't be beat. There's basically 4 ways you can use this barrel. You're gonna see I'll get in the unit and I will sit down flat on the bench and it will submerge me up to my neck, which is ideal for me. Hands on my knees and my full body underneath besides my head. I could also, how Malaina does it, she kind of hovers over the seat. She hangs her arms on the side. So she's keeping everything from her chest out of the plunge, getting her core and getting her legs. Very comfortably can do that. You can also sit fully in the spot that your feet go and submerge yourself all the way underneath and go all the way underneath. Or you can stand in the plunge and just ice your lower body. So you do have the variety, where other units you really just have one option, which is kind of floating in the middle. So as a final review to conclude this video, I think this is the best cold plunge on the market for many reasons. I've got rid of my plunge literally to purchase this. We've had access to any cold plunge in the market because of the brand relationships that I have, but this is the one that I chose for many reasons. This is for the serious athlete. I love the look. I love what Icebarrel says about who you are and what you stand for. You can't get a better user interface on a chiller like this, and that matters. At the end of the day, the technology of the chiller is gonna be the most important thing about your plunge. Now, let's get cold.